Hi guys, so you're all welcome back, and this is one of the great lectures which I am going to take now is glide walking, the theory of glide walking, which is being very important for all of you. Hi guys, so you're all welcome back. Uh, so right now what I am going to discuss is glide walking, right? So about glide walking, just I want to look at this woman. Her bottom is back, and uh, like neck is very straight, so the spine is straight, shoulders are well aligned, and they're backwards. And she is doing a movement which is called as like a samba dance or a hip hop movement here at her hips. It goes like this when she moves, and it goes like this when she moves other leg. So this movement, if it comes properly, what will happen is these hips muscles are well developed. Because these hips muscles are well developed, she is exerting a force which is directly vertical down the earth, and Mother Earth is giving her a very strong force upwards, right? So actually, she is being helped by Mother Earth in pulling forward. When she is almost not using her knee joints are not at all used. So means knee joints are made by God just to help you in walking. They are not the main joints of walking. This you have to understand. In glide walking, the joints are spared through healthy alignment and gentle footfall. So if you are walking properly, what will happen is your joints will be spared through healthy alignment and gentle footfall, while various muscles will be exercised appropriately. This is glide walking, glide walking, glide walking, glide walking. Poor walking, this is poor walking. And this here, the patient is using the hip joint, knee joints. Poor walking form predisposes the hips joint to wear and tear and under exercise the leg and buttock muscles. This is also pelvis is tucked forward and hip joint is used, not the muscle is used. Muscle is not working, hip joint is working. Here the knee joints are working. So buttock muscles are not working and you are rather damaging your joints while walking. In most of the Western countries like USA and France, the poor walking form is so prevalent in industrial societies of USA and France that even their traffic signs show bad form. This is poor walking. But in countries with intact kinesthetic traditions like Bulgaria and Italy, the traffic signs correspondingly exhibit good walking forms. This is how the walking should be. The shoulders are so back, and this man is standing tall while walking. This should be the walking style. In Brazil, the glide walking, Brazil man, he is glide walking and his hip muscles are working very well. His butt muscles are very strong, and glide walking strengthens the gluteus muscles. Strong gluteus muscles support pelvic anti-version. Glide walking in India, so good. Stretches the Schwanz muscle also. The Schwanz muscle, which is here, gets stretched. This is again glide walking. When the hip joint is correctly aligned, this is the proper alignment of the hip joint. This is improper alignment of the hip joint. See, the ball is not properly fitting into the socket. The muscles around the joint, when the hip joint is correctly aligned, the muscles around the joint can relax appropriately. When the hip joint is correctly aligned, the muscles around the joint can relax appropriately. There is adequate space within the joint, and the fit between the leg and the hip bones is correct. The muscles around the joint, when the hip joint is very correctly aligned, the muscles around the joint can relax appropriately and there is adequate space within the joint and the fit between the leg and the hip bones is correct. With poor alignment at the hip joint, some of the surrounding muscles are obliged to remain tense. They are tense and the space in the joint is jammed, and the poor fit between the leg and the hip bones predisposes the joint to arthritic changes. So this poor alignment actually causes the hip joint osteoarthritis. With glide walking, the legs hang loosely from the hip socket, like they are like a pendulum and dangle in the swing pace. And this re-establishes a healthy space in the hip joint. Because the leg is like a pendulum, it is so dangling nicely. And now the pull of the gravity is creating a healthy space in the hip joint. This is again glide walking, so nice. So this is how the glide walking should be. You should lift your leg, it should land up properly. But in every moment, this I will be teaching you in my practical. In every moment, your butt muscles, gluteus muscles should contract. If while walking, your gluteus muscles are contracting, you are walking properly. If your hips are not contracting when you walk, which means you are actually, all of you must be using, which means you are putting too much of pressure on your knee joints. After walking, if your knee joint is paining, which means you are walking wrong. If after walking your hip joint is paining, which means you have used a lot of hip muscles. Hip muscles should be used. Leg should be freely dangling like a pendulum, free, dead leg, which will create a pull on the hip joint like this and like this. So this free movement, this leg is now dead like in the air. So the gravity is pulling a pressure on the hip joint, pulling the socket of the femur, the ball of the femur down, and creating a healthy space between the femur and the hip joint. Proper space between the hip joint and the femur socket, femur ball. Tightening the buttocks, straightening the leg, tightening the buttocks, straightening the leg. This leg is straightened. And pressing the heel towards the floor. Pressing the heel towards the floor. Prepare you, means you are giving a push to the Mother Earth like this, so that it gives you propulsion like this. So, and pressing the heel towards the floor, prepare you for glide walking. So this is how you should do proper glide walking. This is very difficult to understand here. I can understand in these pictures, but once you will be seeing my videos of practical demonstration of glide walking, you will be very happy. So while walking, always relax the muscles around the hip joint so that the leg can dangle like a pendulum. Note that the pelvis remains anteverted and pelvis remains stationary as the leg moves forward and back. Pelvis will be stationary as the leg will move backward, middle, or forward. Pelvis is always the same. Examples of initiating a healthy stride. This lady is preparing herself for walk. This is again for next step, how nicely he is elevating and pushing the ground backwards. When initiating a stride, it is helpful to become aware of the action of the buttock muscles to pull the upper part of the femur back within the flesh of the thigh. So if your hip muscles work properly, what happens? They pull the femur back into the hip joint. So the alignment of the hip joint and the femur is always proper because of this healthy working of the hip muscles. So when initiating a stride, it is helpful to become aware of the action of the buttock muscles to pull the upper part of the femur back within the flesh of the thigh, so that alignment of the hip joint is very, very proper. Notice the significant muscle contraction in the left buttock. Further contracting the buttock muscles pivots the leg back. If you contract more and more, the leg will be pivoted back relative to the torso. Because the foot is firmly positioned on the floor, this action propels the body forward. So this is what I told you. If you contract this muscle too much, it pulls the leg back, and on the Mother Earth, what you do, you create a force like this, which is downwards and backwards, and Mother Earth gives you a force which is upwards and forwards, which is very good. So further contracting the buttock muscles pivots the leg back relative to the torso. Because the foot is firmly positioned on the floor, this action propels the body forward. A common mistake is to relax the gluteus medius muscle before the front heel touches the ground. So if you have relaxed your gluteus muscles before, hip muscles actually, before your other leg is touching the ground, this will result in a heavy step. So if your muscles are very strongly, this hip muscle is very strongly contracting, this leg will be like a dead pendulum, and it will fall very, very softly on the ground. But if this muscle is not being contracted properly, अगर उसको आपने कॉन्ट्रैक्ट नहीं किया हुआ, तो अगला पैर बहुत जोर का पड़ेगा जमीन पे और एकदम नी जॉइंट में आवाज आ जाएगी, तो which is totally wrong. Okay, so what you should do, this is again a common mistake to walk with the pelvis leading. Here her pelvis is not back, her pelvis is forward actually. So which corrupts the gait. If your pelvis has migrated too far forward, adjust by shifting it backwards. And I have told you in my videos that how you should little bend backwards to align your pelvis. A common, most of the time, the actual walk should be this. This is my very nice walk. You can see it is almost on a line. But remember, the walk is on a line, which means almost like this. The walk is almost like this. But it is not like, remember, it is not cross-legging. You should not cross-leg. Are you getting? They are little, the feet are little apart. Like this was the foot. Other foot was like this. Then other foot was like this, and other foot was like this. So very nearby, but in a straight line. This is again a foot walk. The knees and feet are aligned outside, but even then, you see, this is a straight line. So this is how the glide walking should be. But if you are walking with your knees bending inwards and your foot are angling inwards, that is a wrong walk. You will get into trouble. And on your feet are too much outside, too much far away. This is also wrong. They should be nearby actually. They should be near here. But it is not the case here. So this is also again wrong walk. This is also again wrong walk. The proper walk is this one. This is the proper walk. So this ends the session on glide walking, guys. And now my video will appear on the internet, which is a very, very, very important video. The name of the video is Glide Walking and the Cure of Osteoarthritis. This is going to a big video for 40 minutes where I will teach you that how you can cure your osteoarthritis of the hip and the knee joint just with glide walking. It is going to be a very detailed video. And thank you guys for being with me. Thank you so much and enjoy. Hope your days goes good. Keep smiling. Thank you.